All right, hello and welcome everyone finally to the Wisp video. So Wisp is pretty fucking complicated, so we're gonna have a lot to talk about here, so let's just get started. First and foremost, let's show the build and then we can start talking about these abilities because there is a lot going on. But this is the build I have gone with. It is mostly strength because strength is kind of the main stat that you're going to want on Wisp because her one is her most important ability and it affects it greatly. But then we have a good bit of range because range is kind of important on Wisp. You don't absolutely have to have it, but it's very nice to have for a lot of the synergies that she does. We have a good amount of efficiency. I was using this build at one point during testing, but that was before her 4 got buffed. And because I want to use her 4 a little more often now, I've switched to Transient Fortitude for a little less strength and a little more efficiency to be able to use her 4 for longer. And we have over 100% duration. You do not need more than 100% duration, but I would really not advise you go below 100%. So we left it at this level. The only other important thing on this build is that I'm using adaptation. Adaptation is fucking busted on Wisp because of the way her 1 works. It's in giving you a ton of bulk. You combine the bulk that your 1 gives you with adaptation, and it basically makes you unkillable as long as you give even one single fuck about staying alive. So that's incredible. And then I'm using Arcane Consequence just to make me a bit faster because I'm using Power Drift for a little more strength and stuff in here. So let's talk about these abilities. These abilities are really, really good. Her first and most important thing is her first mote, which is her Vitality mote. This is giving me over 700 fucking health and is healing me for 71 health per second. This reservoir lasts an infinite duration as long as you do not place more than 6 and it doesn't get nullified by a nullifier. And it covers this large area. This buff can be put on every single one of your teammates that comes into this AoE, and it lasts almost 40 seconds. And it's refreshed if you re-enter the AoE. That's really, really strong. But let's talk about her second reservoir, which is the haste reservoir. This is going to give me sprint speed, attack speed, and fire rate. So if you want to do melee, it's extremely good, and it's basically going to turn you between her first reservoir and her second reservoir into Valkyr, only that you have other abilities to do besides just increasing your speed and being tanky. And for fire rate purposes, I'm going to show how fast I can possibly fire the Vacor Heck before the speed buff. That is how fast the Vacor Heck fires before the speed buff. After the speed buff, the Vacor Heck fires this fast. It turns your weapon into some shit from a fucking John Wick movie. And it's really, really good at increasing the amount of damage you can output. And that's crazy good. It's a great fucking thing. And it feels great to use. And in addition to that, it makes you pretty speedy. Like, just like speed buff, like, really good. Goes on all your teammates. Makes everybody quite fast. Great shit here. Last buff is the weakest buff, and it is your shock reservoir. Shock reservoir gives you this little floating buddy, and it shocks enemies around you every couple of seconds. It can shock up to 5 enemies, so it's like very minor in terms of its ability to like really crowd control things, but that's fine because you're gonna want all 3 of your motes anyway. And like having a little bit more CC for you and your whole party is still pretty good. It increases your survivability, yada yada. Good stuff. Moving on, we have her 2. Her 2 sends out a little ghost and makes you invisible, and if you hit it again whenever it's flying away, you can teleport to it. Now, things that are not obvious with this ability. First and foremost, you could hold it to make it go really fast, and then whenever you release the hold, you will immediately teleport to where it is. So that's really good. It's like just good for getting around to places, and then like it's good for safety. You can just like shoot it up into the air, and then you're invisible. All that kind of good business. Good stuff there. And then like, yeah, just teleport back here. Good for like exploring levels. You can shoot it in one direction and then go another direction, and then if that's a dead end, you can teleport to the other way. Cool shit. Great stuff there. It also has a number of synergies we're going to get to when we get to them, mostly revolving around your 3. So your 3 is this nice little AoE that it shoots out. This is a stun, and it also has some damage properties we're going to get to whenever we're talking about her 4, because it synergizes very well there. But her 3, if you cast your 2, it will copy the ability. So you can shoot your clone off in one direction, and like if I shoot it over here and then go over here and hit 3, then I'm using 2 of that ability essentially to increase the area that I can cover with my CC. In addition to that, if you see a reservoir, you see this little symbol, you can hit 3 and teleport to it, and also double the range of your 3. And that synergy works with your other synergy in that if you shoot the clone out and then teleport to a reservoir, it takes the doubled value of your 3 and applies it to the copy of your 3 that your clone gets, which means that this can cover an absolutely fucking absurdly large area, and that's great. And then finally we have our 4th, which is the big laser. This has a number of synergies, the most important of which is your motes. So for each mote, it's going to give this laser a different buff. 2 of them give 25% damage, so 50% damage total, and 1 of them gives you corrosive procs. It does not give you corrosive damage, it gives you corrosive procs, so that this can get through armor much more easily. And that's all pretty good. Also, you can hold left click to double the drain and damage of this ability if you're just like trying to melt something. And that's pretty good because like this allows you to increase the DPS and energy drain whenever you're trying to kill something very specific with it. And with that, let's talk about the damage part of Wisp's 3. This is really important, and I think it's going to be the most overlooked thing about Wisp. Basically, if an enemy is under the effects of your 3 and you shoot them, you have a 10% chance to generate a little projectile that will come out of the enemy and go seek other enemies to go hit them, and it deals about 5x damage from the hit that generated it. That 10% chance goes up to 100% chance whenever you are using your 4. So if you're sweeping your 4 across a group of enemies that are affected by your 3, it is going to generate a fuck ton of those little projectiles, and everybody's gonna die. That is really good, and it's the main way I would suggest using her 4 if you're going to be using her 4, because it just makes it so much more effective. The other really effective way to use your 4 is of course shooting it down a hallway, because it has enemy punch through, and it will just hit everyone in the hallway, and that's just an effective use of damage. Now then, let's show off the test where I'm going to attempt to show all of this shit off at once. We are going to do a level 100 test, and it's gonna be pretty easy. Oh, also her passive. There's so much on this fucking Warframe. If you jump, you go invisible. And this buff doesn't end the moment your feet touch the ground. So you can just bunny hop around or like bullet jump around and be invisible the whole time and be like turbo safe. Like walk into a spy vault and just fucking hippity hoppity take their property. And like you can just do that. Like there's nothing they can fucking do to stop you because you're just completely fucking invisible. It's really busted. Anyway, moving on to the actual test. Let's just jump this in at level 100. Drop a vitality mote, as that is our most important mote always. Definitely always want to drop that one first. And then we will teleport up to this, stun all these guys. We want to take these dudes out, and then we can start using the 4. So it's really good against fodder enemies, obviously. And then it does radiation damage, so it's actually not terrible against bombards, but it's really rough against your regular non-alloy armors. So you mostly want to just clean up any non-alloy armored enemies with just like your weapon of choice, like or melee or what have you, like whatever you happen to want to do there. And like the buffs to your fire rate and your melee speed are going to help you out significantly with that. And this is basically just a fucking horror movie of shit to do to enemies. Like you just fucking sweep a big laser across the enemies, and then anyone who can survive that, you just put a fucking shotgun in their mouth and pull the trigger. It's fucked up. It's really fun though. She's quite good. The main complaint I would have with Wisp is that her vitality reservoir doesn't work on your companions, like your sentinels and stuff, and it doesn't work on the guys in defection, so that makes Wisp like kind of just bad at that game mode because like she unfortunately can't heal the dudes, and then like that, it's that kind of stuff. It's like mission specific things, like she can't interact with them, so that's a bit unfortunate. But for any kind of general gameplay fucking dudes up a tree, she's really good for it. Also, one of the downsides of this is that like her vitality emote doesn't work on the drones or the drone guys that you bring for Eidolon hunting. I forget their names, but it doesn't work on those guys either. So you can't like support for that fight, sadly. But yeah, like for just general content running and all that kind of stuff though, she's like a group buff frame that can also like tank and stand on her own and just fucking murder dudes, and it's really good. Like, I was kind of down on like the design just from looking at it, but there's a lot here where if you just look at it, you don't really see how all the abilities are connected, but they're connected in like fun, smart ways. Like the teleport is like really huge on here in making Wisp feel really fun. And it's just all that kind of stuff. Like, she feels really polished since her 4 got buffed, because now all of her abilities are just things that you want to use. But yeah, that's Wisp. She's real good. Hopefully this was explained clearly enough, because there is a lot going on here. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I will hopefully see a lot of you later tonight when I am streaming. I'm probably going to be streaming some Dauntless for those of you that have not seen that game. There will probably be some YouTube videos coming out about that game here pretty soon. So hopefully I'll see you guys on stream later, and goodbye everybody.